This time I'd like to introduce Pastor Greg Jameson, Jackson's Chapel Baptist Church. Will be having our invocation. And after that, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Corporal Matthew Mott, United States Marine veteran. Glad y'all could be here tonight. Two good friends of mine, glad y'all could be here. You can stand with us, please.
Thank you, Jeff. Let's pray. Father, we bow our heads to you tonight, and we thank you for this day that you have blessed us with, God. We thank you for all the privileges and freedoms we have in this country. Thank you, Lord, for the privilege we have to come together in this meeting tonight. Most of all, God, thank you for the plan of salvation. Thank you for Jesus. God, we ask you, please forgive us where we failed you. We've come short. Lord, as we go through this meeting tonight, Father, we pray that you just bless everything that's said and done in here tonight, Lord. In a world that's divided, in a country that's divided, God, I pray that Loudon City would be an example of what it is to work together and strive to work with one another and live peaceful with our neighbors, Lord. Please help us, Father, we pray, Lord, to come to the right conclusions, right decisions, Lord. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for being seated. Thank you, gentlemen, for your service. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming to the monthly meeting of the Loudon City Council. My name is Mayor Jeff Harrison. On behalf of the council and the staff, I want to welcome you here tonight. Tennessee law gives every Tennessean the right to attend city council meetings and to observe how their government does business. We appreciate that you take the time out of your own personal schedule to be here tonight to see how our city government works. You should have a copy of tonight's agenda. If you don't have a copy of the agenda, you can pick one up at the table in the back of the room. That's your guide for the topics we're going to discuss tonight. In order to conduct efficient, business-like meetings, the council has adopted specific rules to follow. Primarily, these rules are designed to keep the meeting moving, assure that all points of views are heard, and provide for common courtesy. In a few minutes, we'll come to a place on the agenda that's called Citizens Input, where anyone that is signed in to speak to the council is encouraged to do so. I'll call you up as you sign in on the list. We do, however, ask that you wait until you've been recognized before you approach the podium. Please approach the podium, address the council, and observe 3 simple rules. Please state your name for the records. Please address all your questions to the chairman, which will be myself. Please avoid the use of improper language, profanity, and any other inappropriate conduct. Once this portion of the meeting is over, the council will proceed with the remainder of the agenda. You're welcome to stay and observe the meeting, but be advised that public comments will be limited. We ask that everyone remember we're doing the people's business here tonight. It's a very important responsibility for all of us, and you can help us do this business by observing the rules that we've established for the meetings. Again, welcome to the Loudon City Council meeting. We're glad that you're here tonight. First name on the sign-in sheet is Mayor Buddy Bradshaw. So we'll recognize Mayor Buddy Bradshaw.
Podium's gone.
Yeah, it is.
I confuse these. Thank you, Mayor, council members, Manager Ross. I'd hoped to come back with a progress report for the annex more on the Oak Creamery site. A couple weeks ago, the majority of commission, not all commission, but a majority, opted instead to go, I guess, veer off a little bit of a different direction. We're currently in the process of doing a study at the old courthouse to either build an addition upon completion of the renovation or possibly a new building altogether. And if I'm perfectly honest, I thought the LUB meeting was next Monday. We're going to go to it. I actually missed it this afternoon. I will send an email out. But just as an update, that's kind of where we're at. I'm disappointed. I think several of our commissioners are disappointed. I think several of our citizens are disappointed as well. But we're now my focus is kind of veering back to making sure our courthouse stays right here. The memorandum of understanding was signed with Lenore City just from a safety standpoint about moving some of the criminal courts to Lenore City, a little bit more secure than this building is, and so I was asked by the newspaper today if that was any indication. Absolutely not. Our courthouse belongs here in Loudon, and I will fight and keep it here. But if I have to usher me out, straitjacket one of these days over it. But I will keep city updated as far as that goes. I certainly appreciate all the goodwill that Loudon City and Loudon Utility Board has shown, and as we move forward and learn more, I'll be happy to come back and let you all know. Thank you all very much.
Any council members have a question for Mayor Bradshaw? Thank you for taking your time
Thank you.
tonight, and your help in keeping the courthouse safe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one on the list is Jim Miller.
Hey, Jim. I want to see about some streetlights. From Carter Machine, I live on one further, Carter Machine, Jeff, I think it's, you know where I live. Down that curve at the bottom of the hill, just past Robson Springs, there's been 3 deer hit in there this year. Right around Christmas and a little after. And there's two poles in there that could take a street light. It's dark in that curve. And then as you come out of it, and that's where the 2 of them have been hit. One's been hit on further up the hill.
Okay.
But the deer run their horse in there.
Okay.
And I don't know, I talked to utilities here a couple of months ago. They did put some new bulbs in further up the hill to brighten it up a little. One of the bulbs was out and another one was pretty dim.
So these are poles that need lights
Yeah,
installed?
there's poles there, 2 existing, that either one or both would help a lot.
Okay.
And I did have the numbers on the poles, there's no address there. I had it, but I lost it this step. But
Okay.
they're just past Carter, Robson Springs Road on the right, one up the hill.
Okay.
And I've been told how to do it, just if the police has got to make a report on them, you know, if they're needed. I'm pretty sure they need at least 1, maybe 2, if we can get them.
All right, thank you, Mr. Eller.
Thank you.
Mr. Ross, can you make a note of that? We'll look into that.
Mr. Eller, if I could get your contact information before you leave the city, I'd like to have the opportunity to follow up with you.
Okay, I was gonna see Bear here.
Thank you, Mr. Eller.
Thank you. You don't want to talk about Bear?
Yes, sir.
Jacob Cole.
My neighbor's dog killed one in there right before Christmas, and there was another a couple, 3 days after that.
My name is Jacob Collier. I'm a recent University of Tennessee graduate and a Loudon High School alumni. I'm here today to talk about some concerns that I have, as well as a lot of
Owner, you worried about?
people within the community has with some very inappropriate posts by one of the councilmen, Mr. Tim Brewster. His posts have been brought to my attention over the last couple months, and I never really realized that he was a councilman at the time, to be honest, so I felt like I needed to kind of stay in my place. But I feel like I have a responsibility, as I have a lot of friends here and my family lives here, as well as just to the community, to really speak out on some of the problems that he has kind of brought to the table through social media. Can I? Sure. I have some printed out copies just of some of the few that have really come to my attention, many of which can be seen as homophobic, racist, just extremely discriminatory in all ways, and these have been going back over the last couple of years. I think this is inexcusable. I believe it's a responsibility of the council to hold each other accountable and make sure that you're aware of everything going on with your members, whether it's on social media, whether it's in public. And I really just want to express that we are in a time of acceptance and inclusivity, and I want Loudon to grow. I know everyone here wants Loudon to grow, and we can only grow together. There are lots of people in the community that are Hispanic, African American, members of the LGBTQ community who all of you represent. And I think it's very important that you recognize that your words have power, and memes that you think are funny can sometimes be seen as discriminatory and extremely inappropriate, especially when you hold a position of power. Coming out of this, I just want everybody to be aware that people are listening, people are watching, and people are ready to speak up. So be prepared for that and just accept responsibility.
Thank you.
Did my post offend you?
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely sorry. These were shared stuff that I thought was funny on Facebook. It was not directed to anyone. It was posts that was shared. And you being my nephew, you should have came to me, your family.
Tim, we don't have a relationship.
Well, I mean, if you have a problem with something I do, as a family member, you should come. Don't bring your family problems to a meeting.
I don't consider you a family member. I'm sorry. You are family by marriage, and we have never had a relationship before. I live my life, you live
I'm
your
sorry
life.
if I offended you, young man.
Well, you didn't just offend me, you offended a lot of
Whatever
people.
who I offended, I'm sorry. But I think it was funny. I think I can share political posts. I spent my life in the
These aren't
military.
political.
No.
These are not political.
Thank you,
Well, I'm
Jacob.
sorry.
Yeah, thank you. In regards to some of those recent personal viewpoints that were shared with Councilman Brewster on social media, general public needs to, be advised that these are not, and I emphasize, these are not the viewpoints of the mayor, they're not the viewpoints of the council, and they're not the viewpoints of the city of Loudon. They were shared on his personal Facebook page, and they are not the viewpoints, they don't reflect the viewpoints of myself and council members in the city of Loudon for sure. Thank you, Jacob, for coming.
Well, if I offended anyone, I'm sorry. But it was not meant to offend no one. That's something I thought was funny on Facebook and I shared it. That's the best I can do.
Next, is that Chip Glenn?
Thank you. I'd like to echo the sentiments of Mr. Eller about the lighting on Carding Machine Road. I brought that to the attention of Travis Williams, and he did adjust some lighting there, and I would like to see some more lighting put there. Not only because there are deer that cross right there, but in times of bad weather, there have been people who've nearly had accidents there, and I've even seen people laying in the road there in the middle of the night. So it's a sensitive area. The other thing I wanted to talk about is later on the agenda, there's a mention of signage. I don't care about election signs. I want to say that. Y'all do whatever you want with election signs. And I don't care if Piney Rutan goes out here and puts a sign up. That's something you all can work out. However, I do have a problem with businesses from Knoxville coming down here to Loudon and putting signs up and taking tax money out of our community to go somewhere else. And advertising for free and blocking the line of sight at roadways. That's not fair to our community. It's not fair to the work that you all are doing to try to bring people into Loudon. It's not fair to Manager Ross, who's trying to market our community and get business to come here. I don't want people to get off the interstate and it look like hee-haw out there. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got a lot of discussion about signage, and there is an ordinance to address some of that. Thank everyone for taking the time to come and speak and voice your concerns. We'll continue on with our agenda tonight. Approval of the minutes. We have the regular minutes for November 18th. Attorney Ford, have you had the opportunity to?
Mr. Fry, I spoke to him about that before I came, and he said he reviewed them and they're accurate.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the minutes from November 18th.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Councilman James.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilmember Bivens. All those in favor? Any discussion about the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Motion carries. Okay, then we have the minutes from the public hearing on November 25th.
He also reviewed those and they're accurate.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Dixon. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilmember Bivens. Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Motion carries. Come up to, next item on the agenda is bids. Manager Ross.
Yes, since we didn't meet in December, this will take care of our previous two fuel bids and awards. They were both to Rogers Petroleum in the amount of $14,770 for the December bid and $14,104.22 for the January bid.
take both of those in one motion?
I don't think so.
Need to separate them? Okay. Okay, first we'll take a motion and a second for the December 14th fuel bid.
I'll accept the motion for the December.
Councilmember James.
I'll second.
Okay, Councilmember Dixon. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, the fuel bid for January 2020. Ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the January.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Bivens. Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Ordinance for first reading is an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the city of Loudon, Tennessee, amending section 14604, standards of signs, billboards, and other advertising structures. This is what Chip Lynn introduced here.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's exactly what Mr. Lynn alluded to, and I believe it does take care of two items which Mr. Lynn did not take issue with, those two items being political signs and signs of a civic nature directed towards fundraising activities. The political signs have a 30-day window, and the civic fundraising event signs have a 2-week window.
And I think there's also some language in there that they need to leave some contact information with Travis Gray.
Yes, Travis Gray is in the code enforcement office. They are directed to drop their contact information.
So there is any kind of sign, he knows who to call and knows who to contact. Any questions about that? This is on first reading. So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the signs.
Okay, second.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Councilman James. Guess we'll have a roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Dixon.
Aye.
Councilmember James.
Aye.
Councilmember Bivens.
I want to have some discussion about that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's okay. Can we put a limit on how many signs? Because if we're going to have election signs on City Hall, I mean, you know how bad it was during election time, where people would just go put a sign every 2 inches down through there.
I think if we make any change, it'd have to go back to the planning commission.
Is that something you think you all would be willing to look at? I mean,
Because this has come as a recommendation from them, from the planning commission.
I'm
If
sure.
councils want to put a limit on the amount of signs each individual candidate can put up, it'd have to go back to them, but they would take into consideration what
Yeah.
council wants.
Who's going to count them?
I can see the whole yard filled with signs.
I don't know how you're going to manage it, I mean, as far as,
I know, we've had enough trouble managing illegal signs as well.
yeah. I mean, this might be a first step, and let's just see if we can always amend it
Yeah,
later.
Okay, you can go back and amend it.
Yeah, later. This would at least get it for this election coming up in March.
I'll leave it on it. All right, I'll vote yes on that.
Sorry about that.
That's
Good
okay.
discussion.
You can go back in April or May and you see that
And
things
we
are,
may not, we may see how the election
See how it goes in March.
and we may not have that, and it may be fine. I just would hate to see, you know,
I think as Manager Ross mentioned, this has addressed some of the issues that we've had in the past, so
Yeah.
this will be a step towards fixing some of
yeah,
that.
we need some guidance on
Right.
that.
Meeting, go ahead.
Councilmember Brewster.
Aye.
Mayor Harris.
Aye. Again, that was on first reading. Now some resolutions.
Public hearing for 625.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Public hearing 625 on that. Resolution authorizing license agreement with the Tennessee Department of Transportation for the Gateway Monument Sign Project. Manager Ross.
Yeah, shown on the screen is the intersection of Highway 72 and Highway 11. And this license agreement would allow us anytime within the next 10 years, and it would renew for subsequent 10-year terms, to put a gateway sign at this intersection. The sign itself would depend on budget restraints and what we're willing to do at the time, but here's an example of a gateway sign in another community.
just so everyone's clear, this is the intersection of Highway 11 and 72 out here, so.
It's state property. We had to seek their permission. That permission has been granted.
So this license agreement just gives us 10 years to do something with it, so. Okay. Now let's get a motion. We have a motion for this resolution, motion second.
I'll make a motion, we accept it.
Resolution, Dixon. Got a second?
Second motion.
Okay, Councilman James. Any discussion?
I noticed in the license agreement, it says that we have to take out a liability, insurance on that for, I think, $1 million. Have you checked into what that's going to cost us? Or can you give me kind of a round?
It would fall under the city's umbrella coverage with all other city properties. The impact would be de minimis. If there is a dollar addition to our insurance, I'll make you aware of it.
Okay. So you think it can?
I have one question too as well. I know that this is going to relocate the Lions Club, the current Lions Club sign, because that's where it sits now. Have you spoken with the state or have got any verbal approval about where we can move the sign to at another location? Have you said anything to the state about that? Because I had to go to the state to get it put there.
We'll work with them, and, we understand that right away from all four sides based on where utilities are. I think as long as we can mind the distance and work within our utility easements, we should be able to relocate that sign in an appropriate manner.
Will it be on that intersection at some point, or do you know where it's going to be?
I do not, sir. That would be a discussion that would return to you all for your feedback as
You might
well.
go on the other side of the road, but we'd have to.
Yeah, that's a possibility, but I didn't know what the plans had been, or had anything been discussed,
Got a lot of
Which I was
time.
naturally concerned about it because of the fact that, it sat there vacant so many years, and then we get one there.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
highway.
that was one of the things that they specifically specified. They didn't want trash. They didn't want something that looked trashy. They didn't want something that looked professional. And it was sturdy and would stay there. It wouldn't be a danger. And so that's what I tried to do. And they, of course, granted it. And they didn't even ask me to get a permit because they just were like out of sight, out of mind, Because there are other cities around over has it as well. And I pointed that out to them. And that's when they said, well, we've got a policy outside, out of mind.
Well, it's like, it's something that's highly visible. There'll be lots of opinions, and it's like this afternoon's utility board meeting, we discussed what type of fencing should go around the water tower. So again, it's something I would bring back to the circle to discuss.
Okay, I'm sure we'll have a lot of discussion. Any other questions or comments?
We still didn't get the, in the contract, we still didn't get the correct, it's State Route 11 and State Route 72, not State Route 2 and 74.
When we return it to them, I'll point that out to them, see if they can make that
Okay.
adjustment. It's their form.
Okay.
Well, still, we don't want to go on a lease agreement with the wrong address on
No, sir.
You'll correct that before it gets, okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, that resolution passes. Next resolution is authorizing conveyance of title to the United States Postal Service.
Yes, in 1999, the city entered into a lease to purchase arrangement with the U.S. Postal Service for the post office in downtown Loudon. It's now 2020, and in March of this year, we're due to deed the property to the U.S. Postal Service, and this resolution simply authorizes the mayor to sign that deed and convey the property to the post office.
This is something we knew was coming for 20 years.
Yes.
Okay, have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Councilmember Bivens, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember James seconds. Any discussion? I think it came up, I don't know if it's in the workshop or not, but when this transfers over to them, the maintenance and everything falls on them. So, just so that's clear, they understand that. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, motion carries. Next item is authorizing the 2013 Mack MRU 613 garbage truck to be considered surplus.
Yes, sir. This recommendation comes from our Public Works Director, Ellis Scruggs. He's requesting the surplus of a 2013 Mack front loader garbage truck. The truck would be sold on gov deals, with your permission.
Okay, the new one seems to be working well, doesn't it, Director Ellis? All right. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept the garbage truck.
Councilmember Dixon, we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Bivens. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion about the surplus of the truck on gov deals? Okay, I'll ask all those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Next item is authorizing the purchase of a 2020 Ford F-450 for the Public Works Department.
Yes, this request also comes from Director Scruggs. It's for the F-450 to be utilized for towing payloads, spreading rock, asphalt, as well as other future potential uses. Truck purchase price is $55,283. This will come from capital equipment funds.
Okay, this was discussed in the workshop. Director Scruggs informed us how he planned on using this and how it would help. And he's allowed for it in his budget, so. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept it.
Councilmember Dixon, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilmember Bivens. Any questions about this purchase? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Next item is authorizing the continued vehicle replacement program of city vehicles. There's 3 vehicles, I guess, that's listed here that needs to be replaced.
Yeah, in terms of the dates and mileage on these vehicles and the Ford replacement program, there's an F-250 in the Recreation Department that's ready for trade, an F-250 in the Public Works Department ready for trade, and an F-150 in the Public Works Department ready for trade.
As far as we know, there's no upcharge on these? Correct.
No, not on the trucks, no, sir.
Okay. All right. Have a motion?
I make a motion that we continue the program.
Councilmember James, thank you. Any second?
Second.
Councilmember Dixon seconds. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? No. All right. Next item on the agenda is department reports. So we'll start with Mark Carroll today. We always leave him for last. We'll let him lead off.
Best for the first, right? Because
That's
that's
right.
the last.
Put everybody to sleep right off the bat.
I think on the board you have here tonight is, I can't read that, it's small, but you received a copy in your packet. Each year in January, we try to update you on the programs and activities of the Recreation Department. And I really appreciate those pictures, I guess, Nicole, put on there. It really looks nice. But that is some of the activities that we're offering for this year. And you'll see down at the bottom there, this is a list of scheduled events that doesn't include things that will pop up throughout the year. But there are some notable changes on there. You'll see that there's a second Food Truck Friday. It's listed there as third Friday. It's called Fam Night. It'll have food, autos, and music. It'll be at the Lions Club Pavilion. We also are going to compete for the first time with neighboring cities with fireworks. We're going to do our fireworks show on the 4th of July this year, which is a Saturday. Some of our neighbors also do it on that night. We've done Celebrate the 4th on the 3rd. We've done other things to not compete with them, but it's been a lot of questions from you guys on why don't we do it on the 4th. So this year we're going to do it on the 4th. So I expect everyone to please come out and support that. Riverfest, guys, if you haven't been to Riverfest, it's one of the greatest events in the area here. It's most of the activity is free for the children and people to come to. There's some great food. We limit our food vendors to 25, and we have about 80 vendors total. And it's a great event. And this year, we're kind of excited about something that you guys may think is simple, but it's called the Zombie Walk. That's in October, somewhere around Halloween Eve, something like that. We're going to do a zombie walk from the county building to the downtown area and hopefully have a party downtown. So any questions? We got Loudon coming up on the 14th, so bring your Valentine to downtown Loudon, enjoy that. And any questions you may have.
Is that also on your website?
It is.
It is?
It should be up there
And
on
on
the
the
website.
Facebook page?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just encourage everyone to check that out.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mark, you and your staff.
Thank you.
Director Ellis, Scruggs, you have anything?
Yeah, today was Ryan Stevens' first day. He is our new mechanic, and I think he's going to be a great addition to our team going forward. You'll see us out in the city working on some several storm drains. We're just working on getting those, freed up. We've had actually freed up on Church Street. It's been plugged for several years. We're going to continue working on those as time permits. And lastly, we'll start working on prioritizing some of the ADA areas and develop a plan going forward to address those.
Okay. All right, thank you, Director Scruggs. Jason, we'll go to you next. Director Brown, you have
Nothing, sir.
Nothing, okay. So Nicole?
Yes, sir. Last fall, council adopted an investment policy, and the purpose of that policy was to maximize the interest earnings that we receive on our cash balances. Part of the policy required reporting back to council on a quarterly basis of those results. And I think you'll be pleased. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be glad to answer those. We've done well. So.
Looks like it's doing well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Webb?
Yes, sir. I think that you all are aware, but for the benefit of those that don't know, the safest city,
Hong Kong?
they came out this week, and we're the third safest city in the state of Tennessee.
Up from number 5.
Up from number 8.
Oh, number 8.
I do want to point out, in 2015, we were number 1, but ever since then, we've pretty much stayed in the top 10. And a lot of folks won't give the police department credit for that, and we deserve some credit. But what I want to say is, I want to talk about our people here in Loudon, because we've got great people in Loudon. If we didn't have good people that behaved themselves and wanted to have a safe place to live, then we wouldn't be the safest city. And I will say this about our people here in Loudon. I have traveled, been a lot of places on vacation. I know all of you all have too. And there's some great exotic places to go visit. But like Dorothy said, there's no place like home right here in Loudon, Tennessee. And the people here have put you all in a position, and me in a position, and everybody that works for the city of Loudon in a position to serve them and to make it a great place to live. With your all support and the people's support, the police department is able to do the job that we do. And we thank you, and I just want to give credit where credit's due, and that's our people.
Thank you, Chief.
The other thing I was going to tell you is we have just finished the install of our new software that we talked to you several months ago about, our records management software and our courtware software, and finished up our training last week. So a lot of folks are getting used to that inside the police department, and then, of course, that involves other departments too, with Nicole's staff, and then of course the Greg's folks over at the service center. And so that's something that's new. One thing that we're really excited about, though, is folks now that receive a citation from a police officer, they don't have to come back to Loudon if they were passing through Loudon, or they don't have to go somewhere now. You can actually go online and make those payments. And so, that alone, this software is probably going to pay for itself with the ease of collecting the fines and the court costs there. And then also I'm happy to announce that we have successfully got our new public safety radio system going with both the fire department and the police department. We have successfully got all the hardware and the software installed on all of the fire apparatuses and the police cars in the 911 center in the console there. We have a few glitches that we're working through, and we're working out. The vendor's still hard at work taking care of that, but right now it's we're able to talk and communicate from places here in the city that we had trouble doing that before in the past.
Some of the dead spots are gone then.
Yes, sir. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Chief Webb. I think we got Battalion Chief Harvey, you're pinch hitting for Chief Brubaker.
Yes, sir. Our department just finished up their 40 hours of in-service training this past week. Tennessee Fire and College Academy brought up their training tower. We did some emergency egress bailouts above grade fire training. Also, they brought their driving simulator, so we got to sit and participate in driver training. We also did hazardous materials training and tactics training. It was a very good week, and we're just happy that it's over with, and we've got some really good training from the Fire Academy. Thank you.
Thank you. So we had a lot of training going on with fire and police last week. That's good. Did I miss any director? Did I miss anyone? Okay. Thank you all for your reports.
Mark, when you gonna talk about the rec center?
Hang on. Let Ty talk about that. We talked briefly about it.
Yeah, Mark and I met about the rec center, and he can show me some preliminary drawings showing a 45,000 square foot facility. My suggestion to Director Harrell was that the request for such a facility be brought to the council in future budget discussions, specifically a 5-year capital improvement plan, and along with the means to pay for it.
Okay. I look forward to those discussions in budget preparation. Any other department report? All right. Next item on the agenda is council member reports. Councilmember Gibbons, we'll let you lead off.
The
Do you have anything?
Loudon County Solid Waste had a meeting this month, and we voted to give a notice to Santec regarding the road debris and put them under notice. They had 45 days to correct that. They went a long way and corrected the majority of it before the letter even got to them. So they are making strides, and I'm very proud of that. The employees there are working extremely hard, and Santec has really stepped up and given them the supplies that they need to get that done. So that's been a huge help. We hope to only see it improve from here. If you all do have any more issues or concerns with the road, still encourage you to come to the meetings and let us know those. We do have members of our council that live out that way, so you all do actually have people on our council that can voice your opinion, but to hear it from other people is always good. So, but we're making strides, and we hope to see them continue. So.
Good. Thank you for you, and I know Commissioner Brewster, she's here. You both of y'all have voiced your concerns and the people's concerns.
Yes, it's
adamantly. Appreciate that.
We made a huge stride in that, and I hope that's all the action that we'll have to take on that matter. So.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Dixon.
Well, the only thing I have is talk about the Highland Avenue project is pretty much done. Out at the downtown at the Dutch manufacturing property, all that's done. They have the process of tearing down the house over there next to the water treatment plant. It should be accomplished here soon. That's about it.
Okay. Thanks, Manager Ross sent out an update on the bid documents for Highland Avenue. That is good news. That's in February, correct?
Yes. Yeah, February 20th, those bids are due, and then we'll move to the construction
So I'd
phase.
say that's moving along good. So, okay. Councilmember James.
I don't really have anything to talk about particularly. I just want to take time to thank all y'all for being here tonight, being concerned about what's going on, and having the courage to come out, and especially, young man, for you to come up here, get in front of that mic, and speak your mind. We appreciate you. You don't know how much. You really don't. And I want you all to know that I'm going to challenge my city council members here tonight that we need to put our shoulders to the grindstone and work harder to get more things done rather than bicker amongst ourselves and try to come up with solutions that don't work. We just need to work together. And with doing that, we'll be able to make all you guys happy sooner or later if we can just work together.
Thank you, Councilmember James. Well said. Councilmember Brewster.
Just a few things. Or where are we at on moving the utilities on Country Lane that we met with? We got a plan for that?
The plan is not complete. We engaged Chris Sharp, the civil engineering firm, and Director Ellis is working in partnership with them to complete those plans. And once they're complete, our plan is to bring it to your budget discussions to work out a scope of work that we can budget for and then ultimately bid out during your next budget year.
Thank you. Something else?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's traffic light right here, carding machine is 72, we've been talking about it for a year. And I keep hearing we're gonna get a grant for it. We either need to put it on caution and flashing red or something because it's a long delay and everyone knows it. We're trying to get out right there.
The CMAQ grant,
I think,
is it going to replace all the traffic lights in
There's a
it?
couple things going on here. One is a reference to a grant. That grant is the CMAQ grant. It was an air quality, air improvement grant that was awarded and distributed here in Tennessee some months ago. What's going on with that grant specifically is it requires, in order to be federally funded, and the funding is 100%. There is no local match. And this is a significant grant, almost $1 million. And there's a NEPA phase before the project is put out to bid. It's an environmental phase. That occurred once, but it expired, and it has to be updated. The federal contractor is updating those documents now, and so once that's complete, it'll move to the next phase. But it's one of those projects that, because it's federally funded, it's on that federal schedule, and but it is in the NEPA phase right now.
Yeah, I think one of the delays was it was an 80-20 to start with, and then it got resubmitted, and now it's 100% funded. So it saved us 20% match. We didn't have to.
Great, and then the second thing is, in anticipation of that, and because we're maybe dissatisfied with the future lights that are coming through the grant, we want to change the light structure to maybe go to a different color scheme or a different flash time. I would consult with Public Works and Public Safety and get their feedback before we make that type of change at that intersection. I don't think that's a decision we can make tonight. That's my short answer.
Queener Road, have we started with utilities on that? I know that's been a big subject. You was gonna meet with utilities and find out what we gotta move. I think Johnny may have been down through there too and looked at it. We've got a lot of movement we gotta do.
Our utility departments have all responded back to Cannon & Cannon, who's the federal contract consultant on that. Right-of-way is complete. That was the big milestone this calendar year. That's being certified. We put all that documentation together, all those evidence of closings, some 35 different real estate transaction closings, and we put that together in a packet. It's submitted to TDOT for their review and certification, and then it will move forward to the construction phase. We anticipate, we can't guarantee, but we anticipate it moving to the construction phase sometime around June, May, June.
Yeah, I think that's what they told us in late summer.
But my question is, could we not go ahead and look at those plans and our utilities go ahead and start doing their process?
Yeah, that has been reviewed by our utility departments and submitted to Cannon. Those comments have been received from our utility departments, but we're not the only utility there. There's a large gas pipeline that crosses county and state boundaries that's through there. We have no control over that, and there's also the telecoms that are involved.
And all those get certain timelines, so many days to do their due diligence. Yeah.
But that anticipated bid date of June, that time for utility comment is baked into that.
What we need to do when we go into that phase, let's go ahead and plan on from Queener Road down to Matlock Bend. Let's go ahead and fix that section of street down there. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? From Queener Road down to Matlock Bend.
He's speaking where they put the force main in toward the highway at 72. When
It's
it's
in bad shape.
72 along from
That's probably
there.
something we'd have to take care of in our
Well, we
budget.
need to look
Yeah,
at that.
in our budget, I guess we could enter that discussion. Where to get the funds from. I agree, I think it's bad to do that.
I think maybe some of this that's on Queen Road, what you and I spoke about, forming a group, that might be a good place to utilize it right there.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll see if it's inside the current scope of plans or not, and see what changes we need to make, if any.
Okay. All right,
One more thing.
okay.
Down at the police department, we have got to do something to fix the parking lot, and we've got to do some kind of gated, secure section in that area, right in front of the police department. We talked about it before. We've got to put that in our scope. We got some rowdy kids in that area, and all their cars, policemen and firemen. That needs to be a secure area.
Well, it sounds like a capital expenditure that can migrate into our budget discussion and then perhaps join the 5-year capital improvement plan, should the council so desire.
I think we were hoping that something would happen with the county there and we could get,
was.
yeah, so that kind of, delayed it a little bit. That didn't happen, so. But I agree, it needs to come up in capital expenditure, all with our budget.
That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Manager Ross, do you have anything else? Minister?
No, so just appreciate the civic participation. I'm glad we have a facility large enough to hold everyone. I think we held everyone comfortably. There's lots of empty chairs here.
Can I echo Councilmember James's comments? Just remember, we work for you. You're the boss. We work for you. We're here because of you. You put us in these positions. You put us in, you take us out. If we're not doing the job you want us to do, then we work for you. So I think we do more when we work together. So I do thank y'all for coming. It's a good crowd. Glad y'all could be here. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I got one more statement. I'm a 63-year-old man, and if I really offended somebody on Facebook, I'm sorry. It was never meant to offend anyone. I take it as being funny or political. Again, if you're offended, I apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Vice Mayor Dixon, I do have 2 appointments to make. The Loudon Housing Authority, Linda Randolph, her term expired back in December, but we didn't have a meeting in December. She wants to be reappointed, and so does our housing director, Lori Everett recommends her. So just like to have the consent of the council on that. All those agree with that, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and also, I'd like to appoint Councilmember James on the Courthouse Square Area Grant Ratification Committee. It's a committee he served on before. I'd like to have the consent of the council on that. We don't necessarily need a motion or second, just a vote of confirmation from the council. All those in favor of that appointment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Johnny didn't say no, so. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You got to go to the courthouse.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
All right, motion is second. James and Dixon.
Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.